And I would do so many things to Tom Brady that it would be disgusting. I can't even go through it, what I would do to that man.
Next time, give it loud for Anthony Eugenio. We're going to next time. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
Welcome to an Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne. That is an Anthony's 80s edition of the intro. What do you think, Wayne?
Loved it. It's my favorite one so far.
Good. So, Wayne, we are sleep deprived here because we spent a great night out at Danny P's first night running Strange Brew. How was that?
Yeah, it was pretty good. He had a really nice turnout. I think in total it was, they had to have been over 30 comics, I think. And yeah, there was non-comic people there, so that was kind of fun. Yeah, it was a good night overall. Danny did a great job. I would expect no less from him. So it was pretty good.
I know. Well, yeah, congratulations to Danny doing that. So we have had... This is a mic talk, by the way, everybody. We have no guest here. There's nobody else with us. We are alone in the dark, and we are touching and seeing what's going on in our pants and wondering if someday we'll be with a lady. We're 12 in this scenario. That's where I'm going with it. Did I tell you guys we're tired? We're pretty tired. So, Wayne, where were you last on the mic talk? Where did we end off? Do you remember?
Oh, God, I have no idea. I don't remember. I haven't done a ton of open mics since then. I know that. I know I've done The Point. I've done Strange Brew. Jesus Christ. Sleep deprived. I've done Strange Brew a few times since then. But, you know, it's been a lot of, like, you know, different shows, you know, like, I think the last time we talked about doing Gibbs Garage. I think that was probably the last thing we talked about.
Yeah, I think we were promoting that. Maybe we haven't talked about how that went. So let's start there. Hey, who cares? We start wherever the fuck we want. Have you heard this before? Eat shit, fuckface. All right, let's go. So the day is the day after Gibbs. You're looking in the mirror of yourself and you're saying, how did I do?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with the way it went. There were a few things that didn't hit the way they normally do, but I mean that's the name of the game. Sometimes, you know, you can have that, you know, what you think is a 10 out of 10 time big laugh joke, and you get scattered chuckles. It just happens. But I mean, overall, it was a 10-minute set. Went really well. We did talk about this. We already did.
Did we?
We did. I remember because we talked about Pat Collins and me having the same joke.
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked about my wizardry.
It was quite Gandalfian. It was pretty. It was pretty good. I was proud of you. All right, so then we both did private classes, one each with Mike Katrobis. So I think that's worth promoting on the podcast because that was definitely, you know,
yeah, that was well worth the time and monetary value to sit with somebody such as Mike to go over your 5-minute set and have him just tear it apart and tell you, you know, what he likes, what he doesn't like. I mean, as with anything, you need to take certain things with a grain of salt. Not a grain of salt. Not every bit of advice from everybody is going to be what works for you. But to be open-minded and listen to it and try to incorporate it and at least give it a shot. You know, Mike even said to me, he's like, here's a suggestion on this. It may or may not work, but fuck it, why not try it, right? And I did that with everything he said, and some things worked. Most of it worked. There were a few things that didn't, but I was at least open-minded enough to try it. You know? And I think I'm better for it.
I think it was, I've already said this too, but I think Bill Hader said once in an interview, it was definitely Bill Hader, he said that he got good advice about writing once, that if someone gives you a suggestion about how to change writing that you've done, they're usually not right, but they're right in the sense of there's probably something wrong with your writing. So it's hard for someone to rewrite your own words, but it's kind of easy for someone to point out a fault in writing because you can see them. So it's just good to illuminate some of the dark that we have in our writing.
Yeah, 100%. And from that, some things have blossomed for you. I mean, you got to open up for Christine Hurley a couple weeks ago. How did that go?
Navigation Brewing. Yeah, that was definitely top 3 funnest times I've had on stage.
I can tell you were glowing. You had like pregnancy glow. Like you just got impregnated by all those Chelmsford people.
Yeah, well, there was a bathroom and it was locked, so who knows what cum was inside of me by the time I got up there. But so Mike, for my stuff, he didn't change any of my material, but I am, you guys know, pretty soft-spoken guy. And I need to animate more because sometimes I can definitely fall into a monotoned, just getting through the jokes type of thing where I'm like, the jokes are funny. If you think about them, you'll laugh. It doesn't matter how I deliver it. It really matters how you deliver it so much. It fucking is like so much of the battle. I think most things in life, you're wrong about the most important part behind it. Like I grow weed, right? And in weed, everybody has all of these crazy things that they do to change the quality of the product, all this crap, better lights, better fertilizer in the end. And you realize that's like 90% the genetics of the plant that you breed. If you get a good seed, it carries you most of the way. And that to me is performance. Performance in stand-up is like you can take, that's why, like I think about all the time, like, do you have to be an incredible joke writer to pass to the next level? And it's like, no, that's not what it's about. Because you can take a concept and really make it funnier by your performance, even if it's not that good. And my point to all this, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what kind of that makes me think of is it's kind of like Shane Gillis when he stops, he goes, like he's almost like expecting you to find it funny, which it is, but I feel like that's kind of his performance. Like that's kind of like his way of kind of exemplifying the punchlines, a little bit similar to, like somebody like Chris Rock might walk back and forth real quick or whatever. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it's some of it becomes unconscious because, so let's say you say a line in your set and the audience doesn't react the way you want them to. It might not even be a punchline. It might be part of a setup that you usually get a chuckle that gets the energy going. And if you don't get it, now we just flub a line and get into our next bit or restart a line because we fuck it up. And he might just have some natural mechanisms where that never happens to him. Like when he'll just do that, like, guys, come on, and get, a little bit of a chuckle going. And he knows it just happens there, and then he gets into his next bit again. Just ways to save yourself from falling off the cliff. You're on, I'm going to metaphor again. Remember the Diddy Kong? You hate these, actually. You're terrible at them. I remember a game we played and you were so fucking bad at it. I didn't want to play with you anymore. In Donkey Kong, when you get inside of the...
if you say the mine cart.
The mine cart. There we go.
Everybody's bad at the mine cart.
I'm good at the mine cart. You're terrible at the mine cart.
Bullshit. If you say that you're good at the mine cart, you're a lying
I'm
sack
so
of shit.
Good at
Nobody's good at the mine cart.
I am not a dumbass who has to play with Final Fantasy Dragons. I am great at a monkey inside of a minecart. All right? We all have our things. A big monkey with a small monkey. A probably inappropriate relationship that they got going on there. Getting into fights with crocodiles over bananas. And none of it makes sense.
And giant squirrels too, right?
Yeah. Well, the squirrel's a friend. She's hot. She's got tits. Oh wait, no. That's SpongeBob. No, that's another monkey. The girl with tits.
Sandy cheeks. I'm talking about the giant squirrel, and I think it's the first boss in the game. That doesn't matter.
Oh yeah. You're right. So is that how far you got into Donkey Kong? You played the first boss. You gave up?
No. I've gotten pretty. I'd never beat it, but I've gotten very far in it. I actually, I have one of those little SNES classics, and I keep saying to myself, like, I'm gonna go back and beat that. But I think I'm waiting for my son to get a little bit older because he's starting to like the Rayman game, Rayman Origins or Legends. I forget which one it is. But I mean, that one's pretty kid friendly because you like die, there's no lives, and you just start back at the checkpoint.
It's true.
As he gets better at that, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do some legit platforming.
And
hopefully he's as good at the minecart as you. You
I'm so good at the
narcissistic
minecart.
bitch.
Yeah, see, you are just so bad at it that you're like, in your head, you're like, everybody's bad at it. That's a fair thing to do. You know, it's like when we have a bad set at a mic, and you're like, everybody had a bad set, and you're like, oh, just you. It was only you. All right, so yes, Christine Hurley killed, best performance I've had, and that was my point. By my overarching point of the Micah Trobes class was he really instilled in my head to make the performance feel like it's the first time you're saying it, and he nuanced it for me because people say that all the time. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean. I'm trying to say it like the first time I said it, but he really, it's as simple as we try to be perfect when we say things. You have to kind of be imperfect on how you say it because that's how you would talk in real life. You would say sometimes. Like, you don't have to eliminate all of them. You have to strategically use them. There's saying every 5 fucking seconds and sounding like an idiot, and that makes you a bad storyteller, but it's still authentic. You know, you're just an authentically bad storyteller. Our goal is to trick the crowd into thinking we're good storytellers and like we're spontaneously good storytellers. That's really the key to it. But anyways, I've been hamming it up on stage, and I haven't had too bad of a reaction yet. Like, I've been going a little over the top of the screaming, trying to get my voice down. Something where I think that a clever, thought out, little bit of a monotone voice in the setup to an angrier and harder dispositioned yell, I think could be something that ends up being my voice. I don't know what that means, but that's what the podcast is about, everybody. Putting it out there. Our innermost thoughts. Is this my voice? I don't know.
Yeah, I have noticed that in your performance lately, and I haven't said it to you because I want to get your ego any bigger than it is. My dog is going nuts. I don't know. Can you hear that?
No.
She's destroying something upstairs. That's all I can hear. But I have noticed that with you since you did talk to Mike. I gotta say it's quite the impressive change. So kudos to you. I've done no such thing.
You don't think you changed from the class? That was going to be my next question.
No, I definitely have. Similar to you, he gave me some kind of tips on how to deliver certain lines differently, and I've applied those to other lines and other jokes that he doesn't even know about. That like when you say something that's kind of should be embarrassing, you should say it like you're embarrassed, like it's a secret between you and the crowd. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I don't know why I didn't think about that. Probably because we're still new at this, but that made so much sense that I started looking at my other bits and saying, oh, that kind of idea works here as well. Whether it's you should, maybe it's a little bit of an embarrassing line, or maybe you should be a little more angry, maybe you should be more concerned, and I'm trying to take that bit of tip that he gave and just apply it in general. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way it's been turning out for me.
It's kind of an epiphany. A terrible way to end your sentence, by the way. You ended with such a putter there. You were like, I
haven't put it off in a while.
Done. So. You just puttered right off. Oh my God. Yeah. What I've been thinking about too is when you tell a story to your friends at work or something like that, or family at a gathering or anything like that, when you're like, hey guys, listen to this crazy thing that happened to me, and you start telling it, and then you see people lean in and start getting really excited about the thing you're saying, a smile come on their face, and then it gets you more amped up when you're telling the story and you start really selling it. The trick is to always be in that. That's the key. Yeah. Whether they do it or not, you be that amped, like you're getting good feedback about a story you're telling in real life. It's like to me, that was the epiphany click where I was like, all right, so hard to do it.
It's kind of like Alana Foden when she was on said, even if let's say you have a room full of 50 people and there's 10 of them that are really paying attention and enjoying what you're saying, perform to those people. Because they're the ones that are paying attention and enjoying it. And so kind of what you said, you should have that enthusiasm. If there's one person, that's as attention-seeking comics, you always want the most amount of people to laugh and stuff. But
yeah, it's so hard not to, because I tell you, I always focus on the person that's not looking like they're having a good time with it. I've done it three. So this is a good mic talk thing, is how to handle when someone doesn't look like they're liking what you're doing. And let me say, especially when you're having a good set. Like, let's say you're getting a lot of laughs, but you channel in on one person, they're just mean mugging you. And two instances of that the last 2 weeks that I called out, which I don't like. Both times went well for me as far as the crowd work aspect of it went, but I don't think it's a good stand-up move to do. Like, I even though I got laughs, I still don't think it makes sense, because it's like the OJ glove thing. Like, you should never go down a road that you don't know the answer to. Like, you should, crowd work should have, you make it seem like it's on the spot, but there's structure to crowd work. And when I do that, there's no structure. So one was at Strange Brew. I was doing new bits and old bits, and I was doing really good in the room. But I looked to my left, and there was just a guy fucking with a beard looking at me like this the whole time. Like, what?
I remember this.
Remember that guy?
Yeah.
And I had to stop. I was like, "Hey, did I do something to bother you?" Like, I don't remember what I said, but I had to be like, "You are killing me." Like, what's the matter? And I think, sorry, go ahead.
You can't. Well, you continue. You're still on that guy. I had a thought going that way.
But yeah, he was very mean faced. But I ended up getting him to laugh on a couple jokes, and that's all I needed. And I stopped paying attention to him. Like, once I got him a little bit, I went. And then Mulligan's, which is it's best mic in Maine. Everybody, don't you
Biddeford, right?
Forget it. Biddeford. Go see it at the Comedy Mill at Mulligan's. Yeah, you got to go there. Get your ass over there. They talk about you. They go, "Where's Wayne?"
Well, hello, everybody.
Yeah, hello, Comedy. Hello, everybody.
I'll see you soon.
So the other day there, I was doing the last one that was the other night, and I was doing my Dandelions bit, which is new, and I was talking to you about. It's basically comparing me to a broken down tractor when it comes to my sex life. And I really like the idea of the bit, but it is kind of gross because, I'm saying there's mud all over it and leaking fluid and skid marks and all kinds of funny things that a tractor could be a person for. And this people are chuckling. It's new, so I'm working through it. But there's this girl in the front row who's loving the whole set, and she's like, "Why are you saying these things?" Especially right in the vicinity of my face. And I had to call that out too. So I transitioned to a bit about immigrants, my immigrant bit, because she was a little white girl. And if you throw racism at a little white girl, oh my God, do they get uncomfortable? And it's funny. And they're like, "Oh my, what do is there a black person in here I could buy a car for right now real quick to get out of this racism that you just put on me?" Like, so I said, "Hey, don't be disgusted by this next joke or you're racist." And I started the joke, and it was a nice little safe. But my point is, shut the fuck up and do your material even if it doesn't work. I think you said that to me in a nicer way. Get a little pause in between your joke. If it doesn't go, just start your next joke. No need to call it out. There are saves that you can have, but I don't know if we're good enough for saves yet. It's kind of cheap at this point.
Yeah. I used to call out quite a bit when I got nothing. But I don't really do that, I don't think, as much anymore. I did have one at it was a while back. I don't remember. He was another comic. I can't remember his name for the life of me. But I see him around once in a while. And I was doing, a 5-minute set. For like 4 minutes of it, same thing. He was just like, not mean mugging me, just like stone-faced. And then I said something that made him break and laugh. And I couldn't contain myself. On stage, I went, "Gotcha, motherfucker. Gotcha. I've been watching you for 4 minutes. You haven't cracked a smile. I fucking gotcha." And then I realized how fucking odd that was. And he came up to me after. He's like, "I just don't laugh that much." He's like, "I liked all your stuff." I was like, "Well, I appreciate that. I was just really pumped because you looked like you didn't." But that's the wrong way to go about it.
That is, if you're a new comic and you're listening, learn that open mics generally are going to be mostly comics. Generally means that they don't laugh a lot. So it's so hard to base your jokes of how you write based on laughter alone. Really has to be based on, I'm going to say it again, energy. You can feel when a joke made people mad. You can feel when you fucked up the room a little bit. And you can feel when a joke elevated the room a little bit. And I think you could do that whether it's an open mic or a real show. You can feel when a joke has got in that ballpark. A real show, though, shows you the potential of a joke, where you're like, oh, this usually does really well. The energy goes up when I do it. And then you do it in front of 50 to 100 people or whatever the range that we're in, and you get that little explosion of laughter. Then you're like, see, like there's something there. Or the inverse, where you try a joke and you're with open mic comics and it doesn't work that well, and you're like, well, these guys are cuts, that's why. And then you go to a real show in front of 120 people who are all there free and hammered, and you do a joke like that, and the silence when those people don't laugh, when it's not just your friends, but when it's 120 silent, angry people, that hurts equally the opposite end of the spectrum as much as the killing does good. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is a big problem with free shows, though. Like Al Conacher said, if they don't pay, they don't pay attention, and that is 100% true. Most of the time for most people.
Well, it was a great learning experience too, because we did a bowling alley style, where it was long rectangle way. Where I think now we would, as Casey Crawford recommended afterwards, cut the room in half, do it in the center, so that you got kind of a horseshoe around the stage.
Yeah.
Little things like that, you're like, man, the ambiance, the setting, all that plays such a big part.
And also, like, to bring up Alana again, like she said, laughter trickles backwards. So if you have people in the front and horseshoe around and they start laughing, and it kind of like a wave,
It's true.
So, speaking of Casey Crawford, tonight is the eve of our Manchester show. It's Stark Brewing. So this will come out 2 days after that.
For Delusional Comedy Productions, baby.
Delusional Comedy Productions. Our boys. So yeah, it's Casey Crawford headlining. Pat Lacey featuring. Yours truly opening. And Anthony hosting. And a couple other people on the bill. I think Jacques Lambert is going to do some time for us. I'm really looking forward to this. We've talked about this a little bit over the last few episodes, I think. Most notably last week with Dobie. We talked at length about this. But, yeah, I mean, tomorrow's going to be the culmination of weeks for me, putting together my first 15-minute set. So I'm really excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, me too. And this is going to be the first show for Delusional that I completely run from top to bottom. So I'm going to take the tickets. I'm going to bring in the people. I'm going to host it. Going to, do the end work with the venue. So I'm very grateful for Delusional for giving me the shot to do this. They have a show themselves going on in Quincy that you guys should check out if you're not near us. Actually, it's already going to be out by the time this happens. In the past, there was a show that they did. It was great. They killed, I imagine. It was going to be so awesome. But yeah, so that's probably the main focus of our Mike Talk. Should be the booked shows that we're getting now, because this is a documentary about us from the beginning of going through stand-up, and there has been a pretty marketed change. I know the last time we did a Mike Talk, we started to talk about it, but we got some Delusional's really hooking us up right now, and Mike K's got me a couple shows since then, like you were saying, and I think that I could be in for future consideration for their shows too, as well as you. So I think we might start getting booked by Mic'd Up a little bit more. Delusional has us on 6 shows. 7?
7.
7 shows.
6, and then I made the cut on the contest, and you're hosting that, so I kind of count that. But
oh yeah.
So yeah, six book shows in a contest that I'm part of, and Anthony's hosting. So
that's huge. That's a fucking crazy. That's a fucking crazy. Because it's, you think about it, like all those are happening by until June, which means it's like 7 stuff happening in 7 weeks. Mm-hmm. And our goal from the very beginning of doing this was, man, in a couple years, wouldn't it be great if we had a book show on average a week, and then we got to do an open mic once a week on that.
And we have a couple 2 nights in a row. We have Somerville on June 20th at the Jungle.
Yep.
The very next day awesome. In
Providence.
Doing some time before Rodney Norman. Oh no, that one's Steve Bjork. Doing some time before Steve Bjork at the Jake Speakeasy down in Providence, which we have 3 shows down there.
I know, and then less than a week later, we'll be back at the Providence of the Jake for Matt Brown.
Yep, Matt Brown. And then a couple weeks from tonight, a couple weeks from tonight, we'll be down there for Rodney Norman. Doing some
Yeah.
time before him. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, exciting stuff. There's been a shift where, Delusion's been giving us a lot of opportunities. Obviously, a couple of those are guest spots, but I've been hosting a lot for them as well. And what's great about hosting the shows with them is they give you a little bit, Mike from Delusional gives great, cooperation when it comes to putting together the shows. Like if you're hosting, he's going to ask your opinion on who should be on and all that. And it's been good to be able to have some of our, people we came up with, us be the deciding factor of getting them on shows and stuff like that. Also, if you've been looking at flyers that we're on, you can see the OMP Productions, Open Mike Payne Productions in collaboration with Delusional that we're doing on a few of the shows. So it's really fucking awesome to start. That's been our dream from the beginning, is to work on the production side of some shows too. So we got PA system, backdrops, spotlights, microphones. Like we're ready to, we're doing some shit here.
Yeah. I kind of mentioned it with Dobie a little bit last week, where I kind of said, we have some things that we're working on. Not really talking too much about it because we haven't finalized anything. But yeah, we get some shit coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, I want to be as open as possible while it's not over, being like saying we're going to do stuff that we don't do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Making it not happen. But again, my whole point of this camera being on me, which I hate, is that we are honest. And, there's a couple new, we ran to a new comic at Strange Brew who's gone there a couple times.
Ben.
And he's such a nice kid. And I know that he listens to the show sometimes too, I heard. And he likes what we do, and he asks us questions. And want people to be able to watch this and be like, all right, don't do that or do that. And that's how you'll achieve. I've learned the biggest thing is I always thought that there's a singular goal to comedy, which is to progress up the ladder linearly all the way up to Netflix. But there's a lot of goals you can have that are completely different. You know what I mean? Like to be able, like we said, one book show a week, one open mic. That was pretty well easily achieved, and there's so much farther. I wouldn't say easily. Well, I mean, it only took us a year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in that front of it, yeah, but
we ate some shit.
We ate some shit, and we did a lot of work. Not always necessarily at open mics, but behind the scenes. I mean, we spent 14 months at this point. 14 months at this point, every day, bouncing bits off each other, and writing every day, just trying to hone everything. So,
yeah, and I think that obviously in the Delusional case, a big factor to us, I think getting more opportunities with them is effort. On this sense, if we have a show coming up, you're making a video. I'm trying to make an alternate flyers or some sort of video myself or some sort of thing, and we're posting it all the time. And I think that goes a long way. I get it when you're on a show and it might be the one of 4 that you're doing that week or something where it doesn't feel much to do it. But if you're really trying to get reciprocal booked, if I'm a booker, that's what I'm looking for. Like, are you trying to actually physically help me sell some tickets? And I know that we're really good at that. So that'd be good advice I'd give people too.
The other thing, like the videos that I'm making, it takes me like 20 minutes if I'm really trying to make a pretty decent video. So I mean, CapCut's son of a bitch, man. That's such a good app. So I mean, if you're going on a show and you have a spare 15-20 minutes, get yourself familiarized with CapCut. Ask for the headshots of everybody on the show and just make a little video. It's awesome. And the guys at Delusional loved it. I think Mike liked the video that we made for Gibbs. It's easy. It's easy, and it sets you apart from everybody who just shares the post from the booker that's there,
If they're lucky. Yeah. So
if they're lucky.
Yeah, so there's little tips and tricks. Obviously, having bookers on, going to their shows, watching them and talking to them is obviously number one, paramount key to get booked by them. But we're just trying to add value to the show, and that should be your main priority when you're trying to get booked on it. Because I don't want to come off and say like do it like we did, meaning make videos and stuff like that, because that's just one way to add value to the show. Like for instance, if you're a guy who I don't know, draws and gets 20 people to come every time it goes out, that's bringing value to the show. You're going to get booked every time. Yeah. That's just one that takes a lot of bookings to happen before you can get a draw. So before that, do other things like get a spotlight like we did. So when you go to a venue and a booker, spotlight's kind of far down the list of things that you got to worry about when you're putting together a show, but it's a pretty important goddamn part of it to add good ambiance.
Yep.
So
production value.
To the table. Exactly. Adding production value to a booker's show, another great way to try to get on there. So if you have a PA at your house, good advice from Pat Collins. He was like, "Hey, you stupid! You tell people." It's a perfect Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell people that you have it when you're presenting your taping, because you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how I overbought a little bit. I think for our PA, because we got a good little system, and we did like a good amount of shows the last month. And I realized that there are some cheap systems that really get the job done too. So don't feel like you gotta overspend. You can get a Fender Passport, which is a way cheap PA system, and I've seen that do a pretty good sized room. Focus on get a sign to hang behind you instead of a white dead wall.
Yep.
Huge change. The guys the boys, the Comedy Mill, again, I'm going to bring up those guys. They put up a sign on the brick wall. Did I show you the picture of that?
You did. It looks fantastic.
Oh, it looks so good.
The brick wall, I will say the brick wall alone is very comedy-esque.
Very nice. Yeah, it's
very nice.
Perfect.
But that sign, it pops against that wall, and you have the best of both worlds there. It looks great. Good job,
I know.
boys.
Good job, boys. Yeah. Yeah, I hope one of them dies so I can be the third member of their team. So I don't know, like they all they're all candidates, but whichever one they can pick. Yeah, no, they're they're great over there. We made a backdrop for when we do our own shows, like a big giant jobby. If you guys have been to Laugh Boston and done their open mic where they put that big step and release banner in the thing, something like that. And I thought it'd be pretty cool to put brick shit on there, but regular brick, everybody does that on their step and release banners. Us, we got a special color in our brick, don't we, Wayne?
Sure do. I love it. You did a fantastic job designing that.
And that, you'll see us live. You might see one of these behind us. Maybe you walk in front of a crosshairs when you're performing, kind of on brand. No one's going to know because they don't know us, but we'll know.
It's true. One of you 40 people will come see us at some point.
Yep. Well, all right. So let's wrap this sucker up by talking about the roast of Tom Brady.
Yeah. So it took me a couple nights to watch this. It came in over 3 hours.
That's so long.
The first thing I want to say about it is I am pumped that roasts are back. The second thing I want to say is I am pumped that Netflix was cool doing it live and nobody held back.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comedies back, texts and Twitter and all that kind of shit. Like people were like, my brother texted me, he's like, "Oh man, comedy's back, huh?" And I do take for granted a little bit that we see so much local comedy that I'm like, literally girls talking about being chained in bathtubs at open mics that we're doing and saying the worst things that you could possibly ever say. So I'm so used to it, I'm desensitized. So when they were going really hard at the show, I'm like, that's what you do. You go really, that's how you do it. But I forget that the world is, at least in comedy, so woke now that it's different. This was like a really big revolt against the woke culture. It was like, we're going to say what's funny and you can go fuck yourself if it bothers you.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love it too. Yeah, it was. I thought overall it was a really good showing. I think for me, I mean, I hate to say it, I think the weakest, aside from Kim Kardashian, which I'm a little upset about this. So I started to watch it live But I had to work all weekend. I was working 13, 14-hour days because we moved our office. So, I started at 7, and I get home till like 9, 8, 9 or whatever. That night I think I got home at like 8:30, so I started it, and I ended up falling asleep. So I had to watch it all edited. And I heard Kim Kardashian got booed so bad, and I wish I heard it.
They edited it afterwards on Netflix?
They did. So they took out the Kim Kardashian boos. There was a point where I think it was Sam J, who shout out to Sam J, Boston comic.
We just saw her.
Just saw her open for Shane Gillis, and she fucking killed. I loved her. I don't know what you thought of her. I thought she was fucking fantastic. But
yep, very funny.
But she did really well at the roast. But she called Bert Kreischer out for, you say you're a party animal, you don't even do drugs and this and that. And he held up little white baggies.
Yeah, Coke. Yeah, they got rid of that.
They were not Coke, though. They were he had like nicotine chews. So it was a little bag of a nicotine chew. And he did it as a joke, but they took it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a lot of it on Twitter before I watched it on Netflix, weirdly. So I saw all the things that they cut out because that were the things that got highlighted on Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah, so comedically wise, so it was split down the middle of NFL athletes and comedians. And it seems like there were two topics that were so how roasts work for the uninundated is it's a roast company that is owned primarily, I believe, by Jeff Ross. He's got a team of writers that will produce a roast show, and he's very fucking good at it, obviously. And if you're a celebrity, you'll usually work with a writer or another comedian, and they'll write jokes for you, and you can put your little personal spin on it. But it's the comedians who go up there and put their own jokes out and go personally after each other. So they had Tony Hinchcliffe, they had all the best roasters that there are, and man, this is my one complaint. I think it could have been anybody. It didn't have to be Tom Brady. I know you don't like football. I'm a fucking huge football fan. I would do so many things to Tom Brady that would be disgusting. I can't even go through it. What I would do to that man. And I also hate him a little bit because he mouth kisses his son and really gross and deeply. And he's got
like Dalai Lama.
Yeah, so exactly. Yes, he Dalai Lama's his son regularly, and I guess that he was not okay with two sections of jokes happening, which became clear by the content. Kids jokes, so I didn't hear anything about his kids basically the whole time, and Robert Kraft getting a hand J at a Orchids of Asia massage parlor, and he yelled at Jeff Ross for that. Which was real. A bunch of people asked me, did I think it was real or fake? It was real, 100%. I could tell.
I think it was as well. I saw a video of Jeff Ross saying, "No, man, he was kidding around. It was all in good fun." But nope. that was not real. You could tell by Jeff Ross's reaction. So
yeah, the anxious smile.
There was two things. There was Brady going up with his hand over, not realizing that he had a hot mic on. Don't say that shit again. And then Jeff Ross going, okay, all right. He looked like he was going to get slapped by Will Smith. He was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, Tom Brady's huge. You might, most people, because they see him without the football pads and all that, they're like, man, he's a pussy. No, he's 6'5". That guy's a monster.
Yeah, he's gigantic.
And Kevin Hart, he did great.
I wanted to touch on that. I like Kevin Hart as a person. I guess I love his work ethic. I love how he goes after it. Don't care for any of his movies. I've tried watching his stand up. I don't like it. And when I saw that he was the host, I was like, this is gonna suck. But I gotta say, he might have turned me around. I'm gonna give him a second chance on his stand up. He turned me around. I thought he was very a very engaging host. I loved how animated he was, and he did have some funny bits come out of that.
Well, I heard Drew Bledsoe talking about this, which made me have a little higher regard for Kevin Hart as well. Because I like his stand-up, but it's not anything that blows me away. But what did is, so think about when they do these roasts, there's teleprompters in front of everybody that everybody can read. And they've rehearsed it already the day before. So like when me and you rehearse our bits, we're mostly doing exactly our bits.
Yep.
As we generally write and rehearse them, and that's what most people did there too. But Drew Bledsoe was remarking how a couple of the really high-end comics, like Kevin Hart and stuff, they would just be vaguely saying what their teleprompter said, and they'd be tying in callbacks to what people were saying earlier in the night.
Yeah.
He's like, I was watching Kevin Hart. He's like, he was on the subject he was doing, but he's riffing a thing that just happened. He's like, it's incredible. And I do like that as well, because sometimes, I don't want to call it you can feel phony, but that's the word I'm going to use. You can feel a little phony when you're faking spontaneity in a joke. Mm-hmm. Well, like in my immigrant parents joke, when I'm asking people in the crowd what they're... I know what I'm going to say. But you kind of make it seem like you don't. And
to your credit, I've never heard you say something that sounded like you had... Like, I forget what... There was one night somebody said, like, Nigeria, and you're like, oh, no, like, just Spain and whiter. It was... I don't know if you had that on the...
I did.
You did. That was fucking fantastic. I thought that was one of the most brilliant things that I've ever seen you do. And you just kind of ruined the magic there, knowing that you had that. But, yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah, so the key to me, what I'm thinking about when I'm talking to people in the crowd is it's almost like you want to seem surprised at anything I say. That is the emotion I have triggered in the back of my... Oh! It doesn't matter really what you're going to say. I'm going to be surprised because it's going to give me a half second to think about what you said and trigger in a preordained response that I'd have in there. But someday we'll bring on a crowd work comic. I think would be a good idea. Yeah. Somebody that primarily... Yeah, Andrew McGinnis would be a good one, actually. Yeah, that'd be
saw him last night. Very briefly, but yeah.
Yeah, I saw him briefly, too. He's a good guy. Yeah, it'd be good to talk, because even people get this, again, misconception with crowd work comics that everything, they're like, oh, man, it's just all spontaneous on the spot. They're coming up with everything. And no, that's an art, too. Like, you're doing ad-libbing for jokes where you have a decision tree to a joke of where things go based on how the audience goes, and you have to be able to go through. Mm-hmm. Where our jokes are linear. They have a beginning, they have an end. So I do respect crowd work a lot. Watch Todd Barry, crowd work, if you ever want to see the best crowd work of all time in a comedy special.
Yeah. Back to the roast.
Back to the roast.
Yeah. And we were talking about Kevin Hart being spontaneous and...
Yep. Who was not spontaneous? How about this? Ready? Tom Segura and Burt Kreischer. Sucked ass.
I was going to say the same thing, and that pains me because I do enjoy them quite a bit. I thought they were one of the weakest. Them,
Ben
obviously
Affleck.
Kim Kardashian, Ben Affleck, yeah. But yeah, I was really disappointed by that. But I mean, it was also hard to, follow Nikki Glaser. She was so early. She was so early too, but she was fucking on fire.
She was very good, and it's really cool to see, like, to be able to see the difference and be like, that's comedian timing, and that's not comedian timing. Mm-hmm. When you can see, like, Bill Belichick trying to put out jokes, and he just can't get the timing down of when to stop, when to pause, when to let people laugh.
I saw somebody online saying, did Bill Belichick just become likable? And I know a lot of people don't like him, but he's always been likable. Like you said, I'm not a big football guy, but I worked with, you remember Pete, right? Pedro? Mm-hmm. He's a big Patriots fan. And I sat next to him for years, and I remember watching a press conference where Belichick said, we're only talking about Seattle today. And then some reporter starts going off on a rant about something else, and Belichick is talking over him, just going, Seattle, Seattle. And I was like, this guy is the fucking best. How do people not like him? That is the best.
We're on to Cincinnati. Yeah, he... so the thing that bothers me about Belichick, that I think bothers most people, is he's too far into that direction where that made sense to do it that way, but sometimes he'll like be a dickhead in a press conference when it really doesn't matter. When it's something like, Tom Brady's going to be your quarterback next week, right, or something like that, and he'll just like mean mug you and not say anything or whatever the hell. And we were awesome for so long, so he's kind of Darth Vader-like, but that's my favorite Star Wars character. So, but he is evil as hell, for sure.
Did he almost have like Darth Vader theme. It wasn't exact, but I feel like it was in
No,
the
it was.
vein of.
It was the Imperial March. That's what they gave him when he walked out.
Are you sure that was exact? I didn't think it was.
Yeah,
exactly that,
that's
but-
how he gets introduced in like he has had the Imperial March be his music, like not himself, but people have been playing it behind him for a long time.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, they called the Patriots the Evil Empire.
Well, there we go. What'd you think of Ron Burgundy?
You know, I only saw a little bit of him in there, and so I don't have enough to comment on it. What do you think?
I didn't find it as entertaining. Like, obviously, Will Ferrell's a fantastic comedic actor and a great character actor. I don't know if he wrote his own material, but it just wasn't. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I just didn't find it as a highlight of the roast.
No, you saw the real comedians were doing really good at not focusing on Tom Brady. That was really kind of the key to doing the roast tonight. You see, like when you do the Donald Trump roast or any of those ones, they were like most of the jokes are on him because he's a big orange idiot. Or if like Biden was getting roasted, they would mostly be about him because he's a sterilized zombie that is somehow being kept alive with so much technology. God damn. But Tom Brady's almost perfect. So
I think Biden's kind of kept alive, but it's almost like Hocus Pocus where they're like sucking the energy, but it's more like smells. Just like
I just picture a black cat that talks in the White House. If you don't suck out their souls, you're going to die tonight, Biden. So the roast was good. Comedy's back. Hinchcliffe was my favorite.
Hinchcliffe did fantastic.
He was my
What are
favorite.
your thoughts on him, real quick? I have some thoughts on Tony. I loved Tony back in the day when he had a special. He did that joke about going to the AutoZone and he had a headlight out, and the guy had the eye patch. He's like, "You're not going to believe this, but I too have a light out." I like that was like prime Tony for me. I think ever since Kill Tony really took off, he seems to be very full of himself. And just sitting there smiling like a Cheshire cat. And I fucking hate that.
Yeah, he's a cocky little bitch that's on brand for sure. That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I feel you, because this is the thing with him. He's so good at roasting people and shitting on them at their core and being a little naggy, annoying little bitch about it that, like, you can call him a little lesbian all you want. It doesn't do anything to him. He just giggles. Yeah. It's perfect. But you're forgetting how good of stand-up that he has, like you said. He does have really clever bits that he's talking about changing the light out in his car, and it's like a 10-minute amazing bit that he starts off the special with. So he's got that in the tank too. He reminds me a lot, not just in look, but in creativeness, as Neil Brennan. Like, people forget about, because Neil Brennan's such a good podcaster, such a good, obviously, co-wrote Chappelle's Show. So you think about him as a director, and you're like, no, watch his stand-up. One of the best in the world at crafting clever jokes. So
I think Tony might have had the best joke. It was about Sam J eating pussy. He said, she doesn't eat pussy. She, oh, hell no's on it. It's such a perfect joke. Like there's no fat on that joke.
that is pretty fucking good. Yeah, I forgot. I think it was Sam J. She said, what did she compare? She compared Super Bowl rings to her fucking strap-ons. There was something pretty good about what she was doing.
Yeah, it was Bledsoe, I believe. Your Super Bowl rings, like my strap-on. Just because I can put it on doesn't mean it's real or something like that.
Yeah, that's so fucked up. That was so good, though. But yeah, what randomly that she's on there. I think Hinchcliffe was the one that made a joke that she checked off a lot of boxes. It's like, oh, a black lesbian obese. Looks like Netflix checked off all the boxes.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I will say the roast was a huge success. I can't wait to see the next one.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. It was like they took it off Comedy Central where they had to bleep it and they had to make it a little bit TV friendly, and they took all the reins off.
Yep. I don't know that 3.5 hours is necessary.
Hour and a half, please. 1 hour and a half. Give us maybe two
but,
max.
But maybe have 2 versions of it or something, you know? Like, I guess if you cut it down to an hour and a half, there's a lot of really good material you would have missed out on. Speaking of which, Gronk. Did you see Gronk's?
Sorry, everybody shit on Gronk, call him basically borderline R word.
Yeah. I will say I think Gronk did a really great job. I just think, like, just his enthusiasm and everything I thought was fantastic. And he also spiked the shot glass.
Yeah, hit a person in the face, I guess.
Oh, really? I was
yeah.
thinking that when I saw it. I actually rewound it. I was like, did he do that? Nope, no, he did that.
Did it right to a person's face. Yeah, they went to the hospital, I heard.
Oh, no shit.
Big dumb idiot.
So fuck Gronk.
Yep, fuck Gronk. But go Patriots. And go watch one of our shows that we have coming up, please God, because we want to get booked. Like, imagine we get booked on all these shows and then just everybody's like, ew, get that. Nobody's going to those. And then we just tank all the shows with our grossness and then we don't get to go anymore. So if you guys wouldn't mind going, it's really all we need to do.
Yeah, and you can see them all if you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, not Twitter or X, because I'm lazy and I only have so much brain power. So mainly Instagram and Facebook, and sometimes Threads. But we'll be posting all the flyers and everything, so you can know where to come see us.
Yeah, and you may ask, like, well, Anthony, it seems like Wayne's doing like 9 the social media companies, and he just kind of doesn't want to do one of them. Why don't you do that one of them, and then you guys can have X as well? No.
You know why I don't do X
Not
or
doing
Twitter? It's because I have... So I do the first post on Facebook, and I can copy and then paste on the Instagram the wording. And then when I go to Twitter, I have to choose out of my long, like, 4 paragraphs or however long it is of shit, hashtags and links. I have to choose whatever it is, 200 characters or 150 characters, and I have to delete stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, Elon
Hear that,
Musk.
Elon? We will post, if you give us $275 million, fair, we will do the podcast exclusively on X. What do you think?
I agree with that 100%. I do have a gripe, though. You can go to a Google search bar. You have a 2,000 character limit, but 150 on Twitter.
Wow, I didn't even know that Google had a limit on there. How did you know that? Wow.
You can see it. You start typing, there's a limit. Who needs 2,000 letters or characters?
Well, you know, sometimes you want to ask Google how it's doing today. You don't want to just be a fucking asshole and bark a question at it.
Before we leave, I saw a video today. I think it's older. I don't know, but someone at work showed me. Have you seen the Japanese robot, the Japanese dental robot, malfunctioning?
No.
I'll send it to you after this. For everybody listening, look up. I think if you just Google like Japan dentist robot or whatever, you'll find it, and it's horrifying. But it's malfunctioning, and it's just screaming with its mouth open, going back and forth like.
That's terrifying.
So that's how Google's doing today.
So I do want to do a tease, or maybe not a tease, depending on what we're doing here for the future. Before we get off, I have a birthday gift for you. Yeah. I've slightly mentioned this to you.
You did,
and I want you to look at it live on the podcast because I want to be able to get the live reaction to it. So we should pick when is that? What's the best ideal day to do that? What do you think for podcast wise? I know we got some guests coming up. We're not going to want to do it during that. We're going to want to do it during a mic talk.
Well, I mean, are you talking in person or? I mean,
no, we'll do it like this.
Like this? I mean, I think next week when we record, we have nothing next week.
Okay, good.
So next week will be another Anthony and Wayne unless something comes up.
Oh, perfect. So, all right, motherfuckers. So, on the next Quest for Laughs, this one's been worthy. Stop being a pussy. But on the next Quest for Laughs, look out for Wayne's birthday gift. See you guys soon.
say that you're good at the minecart, you're a lying.
I'm
sack of
so
shit.
good at
Nobody-
the minecart.